Good day to one and all. I'm Dr. Shashikala. I would be talking on the topic of bonded labor. Let's come to the introduction. We see bonded labor is one of the haunting problem of Indian society for century. Yes, it is called as an enslaving of people. It is probably the least known form of slavery today. Here we see a person becomes a bonded labor when their labor is demanded as a means of repaying the loan. The person is strict, trapped, working for a very little or no pay. And it is not all bonded laborers are forced, but some are forced. They involve their children, sometimes adults, sometimes women, and they are made as bonded in nature. So it is prevalent mainly in rural area, especially we see in the agriculture industry. It relies on the contracted, often migrant laborers. However, in urban area, it provides a very fertile ground for the long-term bondage. The system of bonded labor is an outcome of certain category of indebtedness, which is prevailing from a very long time. For certain economically exploited, helpless, they are weaker section of the population who are usually forced into the bonded labor. Let's come to the definition. The definition of National Commission of Labor, which says that bonded labor are which remain in the bondage for a specific period for the debt incurred. The Commission for Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe also explains the bonded labor in its 24th report as the person who are forced to work for the creditors for the loan incurred either without wage or on normal wage. We have one more definition which can go through the entire concept of bonded labor. The Abolition Act of 1976, which says that it is a service arising out of loan, debt, advance. It represents the relation between the creditor and the debtor, wherein the debt undertakes the mortgage, his service of any of his family members to the creditor for a specific or unspecific period with or without wages, accompanied by the denial of choice of alternative avenues of employment, or deny him the freedom of movement, then the person would not normally be covered under the definition of bonded labor. So bonded labor is different from contract labor. We see the contract laborer who are not directly recruited by the establishments, but they have some pay which are given for the contract laborers. Let's talk about the features of bonded labor. Basically, we see the two basic features of bonded labor: indebtedness, the poor economic condition of these rural people. They belong to the low caste, so they are forced to borrow money from the landlord or money lender, and when they are not able to pay back the money which is borrowed by them, then the landlord will use them for a certain period of years, or they will not fix any wage for them. This will, when they are not able to repay the loan which is or the money borrowed from them, this indebtedness makes them to fall for bonded labor. Forced labor. Another dominant feature of bonded labor we see is if it is a descent from father to a son, or it is passed on from generation together, because the period of bondage the debtor cannot seek employment with any other person. In this term, it means that he sells his labor in the market at the market value. The bonded labor system is mostly found among agriculture labor in village, though today we see that the working people in some stone quarries, brick, BD factory, glass factory, gemstones, and many other factories, we see there is this concept of bonded labor which is increasing. What are the different names of bonded laborers? They are known by different names in different parts of India. In Karnataka, we call them as Jitadalu, Andhra Pradesh Jitams, Gujarat Halis, Madhya Pradesh Harvas, Hals, Kerala Adiyas, Paniyas, Tamil Nadu Pandyals, Bihar Kamais, Orissa Gotis, Rajasthan Sagris, Hyderabad Bagela, UP Koltas, Sevaks, different names. Let's talk on the causes of bonded labor. We'll stress on the economic causes. This extreme poverty for the people, their inability to find the work, and they want to support their family. When there is inadequate size of the land holding to support the family, they have very small loans. When there is natural calamities like drought, flood, destruction of the standing crops, diseases leading to the death of men, animal, when there is no rain, when the wells are dried, when there is no income, all these economic causes leads for the bonded labor. The social cause, we see the customs and beliefs of the people contribute to bonded labor. This may be high expenses during the time of marriage, death, birth. They are forced into go for heavy debt. And sometimes we also see the caste-based discrimination, lack of social welfare scheme to protect them. All these are the social causes. Let's come to the religious causes. The illiterate, ignorant, and religious minded people of the low caste are convinced that they have the religious obligation to serve people of high caste. There is lack of knowledge, poor living condition, fear of oppression at the hands of higher caste, which make these people more ignorant and accept that they are the deprived lot section of the population. Let's see what are the constitutional and legal provisions done for them. The bonded labor, which came in the as a big national issues, which was included in the 20-point program year 1975, the 5-point program, which states that bonded labor wherever it exists will be declared illegal. To implement this, the Bonded Labor Abolition Ordinance was promulgated. This was later on replaced by Bonded Labor System Abolition Act of 1976. The Constitution of India, we see it guarantees all the citizens justice, equality, socio-economic, political freedom of thought, expression, belief, faith, worship, equity of status, opportunity, fraternity, dignity of individual, and unity of the nation. Yes, there are certain articles. The Constitution of India stresses on Article 21, which guarantees the right to life and liberty. No person should be deprived of his life or personal liberty. Article 23 stresses on prohibit the traffic in human beggars. The Constitution prohibits the practice of debt bondage and other form of slavery. Article 42, provision for just and human condition of work and maternity relief. The state shall make provision for securing just and human condition of work for maternity relief. Article 43 says on living wage, etc. for workers. The state shall endeavour to secure by suitable legislation or economic organization or in any other way to all the workers, whether they are in agriculture, industries, work and living wage, conditions of work, ensuring a better standard of living, giving them equal opportunity, and to promote the most important cottage industries on an individual or cooperative basis in the rural areas. Let's stress on Indian Penal Code. Under section 374, we see that unlawful compulsory labor. Whoever unlawfully compel a person to labor against the will of that person is punishable with imprisonment either in term which can extend to 1 year or with a fine or both. Next we see the Children Pledging of Labor Act of 1933, which says that unless there is something which is very subjective or to the context, an agreement of pledging the labor of a child means an agreement which is written or oral, express or implied, whereby the parents or the guardian of a child, in return of the payment or benefit received or to be received by him, undertakes the causes or allow the service of the child to be used in any employment. In other words, we can say that being the parent or the guardian of a child makes an agreement to pledge the labor of that child will be punished with a fine to an extent of 50. It can go to any extent, either punishment or a fine. So we see that what are the above concepts which can be done in order to abolish the bonded labor in India. The Bihar Community Act of 1920 was done. The Madras Agency Debt Bondage Regulation 1940. The Kabadi System Regulation in Bastar, Madhya Pradesh 1943. Hyderabad Baghela Agreement Regulation 1943. Odisha Debt Bonded Abolition Regulation 1948. Kerala Bonded Labor System Abolition 1975 were laid down. These are the regulations which were laid down. So here we see what exactly this act implies. First of all, we see that the identification of bonded labor and release of bonded labor, action against the offender, that is the creditor who had forced agreement upon the debtor, holding of regular meeting of vigilance committee at the district and tahsildar level, maintaining of the prescribed registers, conferring of judicial power to executive magistrate. So we see here the acts provided for the rehabilitation of bonded labor who are freed from their creditors. The 1976 Act was amended in 1985, in which it clarifies that the contract worker and interstate migrant worker, if they fulfill the condition laid down in the Bonded Labor System Abolition Act, will be considered as bonded laborers.